Hey everybody, and welcome to another installment of GameSpot Presents Now Playing. Today we're up here in Montreal visiting Ubisoft and Darby McDevitt, lead scriptwriter on Assassin's Creed Revelations. Darby, you're just a couple weeks away from the release date. How does it feel?
Good. It's when you finish up a game, a couple months ago, you finish up most of the work, and then it's just about bug testing. So it actually feels like it's been a long time since we really finished, and since I finished my job, and so now it's fun to sort of just kind of eagerly await the anticipation, how people will anticipate it or will receive it.
Mm-hmm. So we've actually got the game running right here. So if you could just set the scene for everybody, establish what's going on here and why Ezio has found his way into Turkey.
So we started off this game kind of like an Indiana Jones movie. All the Indiana Jones movies start in the middle of some action, and we thought that'd be a good punchy way to start our game. So sequence one is a lot of like the trailer we released. And then we did a Gamescom demo that takes place in the beginning of the game, and the color palette's really blue and white, and it's wintry, and it's in the mountains of near Masyaf Castle, the setting of the first Assassin's Creed. And as soon as that wraps up, Ezio learns that this library that he's been searching for, that's beneath Masyaf Castle, that was built by Altair, our first assassin, that Altair at some point sent the 5 keys to this library to Constantinople. So after this action-packed opening sequence, we completely switch gears and we go into Constantinople. And this is right here, this Ezio arriving in Constantinople for the first time. The only thing he knows is that there are 5 keys and that the Templars already have one of them. So he's going to have to find the remaining 4 that are still hidden, and then he's going to have to track down the Templars and figure out which one of them has the key and why they have it and what they're after. Because he sort of showed up in Masyaf thinking he was on vacation, right? He's just going to open this library and learn more about the assassins, try to figure out what to do with himself. He's kind of untouchable in Italy now, right? So he's got some time to reflect, but once he shows up and finds that the Templars want into this library, he's now worried, more curious about what's in there, and so that kind of sets the ball rolling.
Okay. So now, what is it about Constantinople that attracted you guys as a setting, as a city to take place for the game? We
have a couple of reasons. One of them is that as a symbolic gesture, it's kind of it was a perfect mix between East and West, which is our 2 assassins. Altair grew up in an Islamic culture in modern day Syria, what would be modern day Syria, and then Ezio grew up in a Christian culture in the height of the Renaissance. And Constantinople historically has represented the meeting ground of these 2, East and West. It literally sits on the border between Europe and Asia. Most of it's on the Europe side. And it was founded by the Greeks, then occupied by Romans, and the Roman Empire became the Eastern Roman Empire, which we now call the Byzantine Empire. And that was for like 1,000 years. And our game takes place just 60 years after the Ottoman Turks have moved in. So now it's an Islamic city, and so it has the accumulation of all this culture, all present, all at the same time. So unlike other games that were predominantly Italian, Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, this one we tried to really show the diversity and the mix of cultures. So you will actually hear Greek, Italian, and a lot of Turkish in this game. Like this tower that we're walking towards, it's hidden behind a building now, but that we're going towards Galata Tower, that was built by the Genoese in 1350. So the city has is just a tapestry, or like a what do you call it? Like a 7-layer dip.
A 7-layer dip of culture.
Right.
That might be the best metaphor I've ever heard.
So we hope that players really feel that, and as you're wandering around, and As with all Assassin's Creeds, it's really fun to just sort of wander around and listen to people talking. Me and the AI writer Nick Grimwood, we worked really hard to every sequence to move the chatter forward, the city chatter. So not only is the main story going forward, but as you move forward with sequences, if you stop and listen to the heralds, and you stop and listen to just people talking in their daily life, you'll hear about this war that's going on outside the city between the current sultan and one of his sons. And if you listen carefully, you'll actually feel the progression of that war too. So the city has a life of its own apart from the story.
Now, we've just been introduced to this character, Yusuf, right here, and as I gather by the throwing knives on his shoulder, he's probably one of Ezio's tribe, right?
Yeah. The assassins have, what do you call it? Outposts everywhere, all over the world. In our mythology, the order of the assassins is quite old. Many thousands of years old. And for those fans who are following our story, we have this sort of backstory that there was a civilization that lived before humans. And the Assassins and Templar War kind of sprang out of that when that first civilization disappeared. The Assassins and Templars kind of sprang out of that and have been around for many thousands of years. So that has given the Assassins the opportunity to have what is the word I'm looking for? Outposts or sects, but. Everywhere. So the Ottoman assassins are one such group, and there's small references to Constantinople and say like Brotherhood and things, but this is the first time that we've really had Ezio yanked out of Italy and set him down in a new group, and now he gets to or sequence 2 is where he gets to kind of see how the Ottoman assassins do it. And the Ottoman assassins, we've tried to make them as diverse as the Ottoman Empire was. So there are Turks, there are Hungarians, Albanians, Ukrainians, some Italians, some Jews. So it's like, if you look at their names, I think we have something around 75 names for all these assassins you can recruit over the course of the game, and their names are going to reflect how diverse this empire was at the same time, because it spanned from all the way to like western or eastern Turkey, all the way up to Romania, and pushing down towards Egypt, and just about 30 or 40 years after this, it even got bigger. So it was a huge, significant empire that I think, definitely me growing up in Seattle, I didn't learn a whole lot about the Ottoman Empire in world history. It was probably mentioned once and I forgot it.
I also grew up in Seattle, and I can confirm I did not learn much about it myself either.
So that's an opportunity we've been given. It's like, so you asked why we picked the city. So it was the symbolic reason, but also because of its historical significance, we felt like, hey, here's the Renaissance happening. Here's Rome and the decrepit remains of a once great imperial city, and yet just next door, you have this empire that's rapidly expanding. Constantinople, because the Ottoman Empire was engulfing the Byzantine Empire from about 1300 on. Constantinople itself, when it was still under Byzantine control, people started fleeing it. Like the population was dropping, and by the time the Ottomans took over, it was like 40,000 people. Mm-hmm. But as soon as the Ottomans took over, they instituted a number of policies to really bring people back. So by our game, it's back up to about 250, 300,000 people. So in these 60 years, it just exploded with life, and it hasn't stopped growing. Like it's actually bigger than New York now. It's like 15 million people. It's massive. Istanbul.
Okay, so here we are back out into the streets of Constantinople. Can you explain the mission that Ezio's on right here?
This is just a simple one where Ezio has met Yusuf, who is the master assassin in Constantinople, master Ottoman assassin. I don't think we ever say if the Ottoman assassins have their own mentor. Because Ezio is not the only mentor of the entire assassin order, simply because the world is too big at this period, and there's, you know, it would be impossible for Ezio to be the mentor of, say, like a Russian, you know, sect of assassins, because it'd be impossible to talk to them. So, but essentially Yusuf is his equivalent, and so now Yusuf has sort of just sent Ezio on a mission to learn the shops, you know, learn a bit of the economy. We always have to do that in every Assassin's Creed. We have to introduce players who might not be familiar with the game to our, you know, systems, and we have lots of amazing systems in these games. So it takes a little while. Thanks for watching me fight.
I think that last kill that we saw there is instantly my new favorite kill animation. The backwards stab in the head.
Yeah, it takes a bit of faith. So yeah, so we introduced you here, and he's just buying. She's just buying armor. Ezio. I'm like, should I say he for Ezio? And yeah, and this is really your first opportunity to explore the town if you want. If you want to just run around and start checking it out. Like, oh yeah, we'd spin around and look at Galata Tower. So this is the first major landmark. That one's actually, I just recently visited it, and it's actually one of the first ones I think we've actually made to scale.
Oh, really?
Because it's not too big. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing it and actually thinking, wow, I think we did this one exactly right. Most of the time, you know, we have to shrink things a little bit because, like, the Colosseum is massive.
Oh, yeah.
And we had to shrink that a little bit. But Galata Tower, don't even have to go there anymore. So yeah, Ezio has some new armor, and now we're going to introduce the first new major change, the Hookblade, which was invented for our creative director. Alex likes to take game systems and make sure that they link to each other in a coherent way, so that you don't just have combat, but that the combat doesn't ever, you know, mix with climbing or stealth or whatever. You know, games immediately get richer and more complicated and more fun if all the systems sort of talk to one another. So the Hookblade was an idea that you could use it in combat, you could use it in navigation, and you could pretty seamlessly go between the two. You know, if you're going to go down a zip line and you see a guy you want to take out, you off the zip line into the street. Or you can use the Hookblade in counters and to disarm people. You can even, I think we had this in Brotherhood, but it bears repeating because it's interesting but little known. When you're in a fight, you can actually counter people and steal money off them in the fight. Not just pickpocketing, but you can actually wait for them to attack you, and you can hit a counter where you literally like rip their purse out of their off their belt. So you can earn money as you're fighting, and items and things. Let's see if we get. Oh.